One series that has been tough for me to theorize on is the Forest Horror series, made by Daylight 3. This series is pretty long and has a lot of events that are confusing and odd, but I managed to get through it and come up with a solid theory that ties back to all the supernatural occurrences within this series and tie it back to the Standing Stones. Because of the nature of this series, I will only go over the supernatural events and not the full video. Without further ado, let's get started. Henry's Forests presents us with the event of a train crashing into explosives in the middle of the woods, with the passengers' spirits still inside the forest. These spirits take away Bolar and have the power to interrupt dreams of those who encounter the spirits. This supernatural phenomenon was active after World War I, when the incident happened. The Missing 411 presents us with the shed that Gordon and Oliver stay in. They are both taken by an engine by the name of Lady, and Edward escapes from a track that shouldn't exist anymore. It's clear to me at this point that Lady has a role in all the supernatural happenings within the series. Our Worst Day at the seemingly has a zombie ghost ship, but that's pretty much all I can extrapolate from the video. Smudger and the Magic Mirror shows Lady with Gordon and Oliver, taking Toto along with them. It's also worth noting that the Magic Mirror entity is in cahoots with Proteus, and the engine that Duncan saw on the viaduct is John. The Farquhar siren shows Lady can transform into human form, and turns people into trucks. It's also shown that Toby is now part of Lady's circle. Wilbert Audrey is also shown to be a part of the SCP crew. Devious disappearances shows us that the rusted engines can be defeated by prayer, it seems. Duck and Donald also get captured into Lady's grasp. Dreams shows us that memories can be rewritten or altered in some type of way. I'm not really too sure what to make of this video, but now we get to the real meat and potatoes of this entire series, and one that inspired me to make this video: the Kildane reassignment. This video answers all of our questions as to what is going on. The story goes that Sir Topham Hatt is dead, presumably from suicide due to Toby's loss. Thomas and Percy are sent up the Peel Goddard branch, where it's revealed to us that the Kildane Standing Stones exist. Percy works up at the military base and disappears. Before this happens, however, Thomas is warned by Goddard from the Coldefell Railway about making amends with those you have wronged. So, with all the supernatural happenings within the series out of the way, what is actually going on within the series? This series' entire events rely on one location within the islands, and predictably, it is the Standing Stones. The Standing Stones are being watched and monitored by the SCP Foundation, and the sounds Percy heard were those from the beasts that roam around the base, or rather, from the stones themselves. The reason why the base is there is because they want to keep everything that is coming through those Standing Stones to be kept at that Standing Stone base. The long-lost spirits of the forest were the first ones to escape. The lost souls of those long past have risen up again to seek revenge on those living. These spirits are predictably from not a peaceful place. The place these stones were found was named Kildane, which in Cedric translates to Church of the Devil. My theory is that all these supernatural happenings, the dreams, the apparitions, the spirits, come from the Standing Stones. Here's where it gets crazy. I believe that the Standing Stones of Kildane within the Forest Horror series is a portal to hell. The ancient people who lived at Kildane worshipped the occult and opened a portal to hell itself, inviting centuries of misfortune and bloodshed to come. Now, this is a stretch, but if you really think about it, it explains how things like Lady exist. In fact, speaking of Lady, I think we should jump into who exactly Lady is. Lady is have seen to be dragging engines with her light or something enticing to the engines, in which they follow her and she controls them, or rather, controls their bodies. See, at the end of both the Missing 411 and Smudge and the Magic Mirror, we see the engines go downwards into a collapsed hole or down a cliff. My belief is that Lady is sending the engine's souls to hell and manifesting their bodies as bait for others to follow suit. It's also not lost on me that the ancient language found in the Kildane reassignment could be some sort of satanic language used to bring spirits in, and the one who's bringing the spirits in is Lady, or rather, the spirit possessing her. This is where I'm about to lose a lot of people. See, I'm about to get crazy with what I have to say about Lady, but for me to explain, I have to tell the story of Adam and Lilith, a Jewish story from the Bible. Okay, stay with me for a minute. I promise you, I'm getting somewhere with this. But in a nutshell, the first woman God created rebelled against him and used his name as blackmail. This caused God to eventually kill off Lilith and replace her with Eve. This is a Jewish folk tale, I think. I'm not really too sure what exactly the story is. But, anyways. Now, why do I mention this? Well, it's because it's simple. Lady is Lilith. Lilith was the first lady to be made, and that spirit must have been attached to an engine of that name. Lady the Engine is possessed by Lilith, who drags engines to hell to suffer how she suffered. Which brings us to John, the engine Duncan saw on the viaduct. John is seen as angry when he is running. But why? Because Stanley got out and talked to the magic mirror. That mirror was holding something that could help stop the spirits from coming into Soror, or was an opposing force of some kind. Also, Proteus exists as well, and he knows about Lapis, which means both are in contact with one another. If the standing stones can bring spirits from the afterlife, then what's to say that the same can't be said for spirits of good? But then again, Daylight 3 has said that both will not be making appearances that much, so I'm not going to dwell on it for too long. But I will say that dreams shows us that these spirits can alter memories. What if the smudger that Duke talked about wasn't actually Smudger, but rather John? A bit of a stretch, but also lines up with the viaduct scene where he is implied to be the engine that either fell off or was actually turned into a pumping station for the mine, since that story has to come from somewhere. Now, for those saying that I'm probably taking this a bit too far and not backing this up with evidence, I think we should look at the more recent video of Forest Horrors, which has a song called God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen and it was sung by Nat King Cole. This song talks about how Jesus is basically going to save everybody from sin and grant us salvation. That's basically the gist of the song. Now, personally, I don't want to inject too much religion into this video, but it is very telling that after I wrote this entire script, that video comes out with this song talking about religion. It's very interesting. But to say this as an explanation, the supernatural events that happen around Sodor are happening because these stones, act as a gateway to the supernatural or some type of hell. This is proven to what Percy heard in the military base, and Lady can also shapeshift into human form, meaning that at one point she was human, but had to inhabit another body, possessing the Lady Tank engine and using that to drag people down to hell. The SCP Foundation has taken note of this and modified Diesel 10 to have a claw to kill off Lady immediately. It also seems that heavenly forces are there to help, aid, or watch out for the spirits that come through the standing stones. Again, this is a stretch, but it's really just what I concluded from every event, and Scruffy's prayer just solidifies this. But that's just a theory. A trained theory. Thank you for watching.